Damian Lillard certainly didn't look like a rookie tonight. You had to find an answer for him. You did late, but what did you think about his game?
Yeah, man, that boy's serious, man. He's serious, and he's not afraid of anything. You know, he has the whole package. You know, he's got the three ball, the mid-range, get all to the rim, obviously. And we just had to go get him. We just had to say the hell with him.
Hold up! Ever since a young boy, I've been getting buckets. Ever since a young boy, I've been getting buckets. Pull it back, Kobe. Pull it back, Kobe. Swish. I don't even gotta look, I take the shot in here. Swish. I don't even touch the rim when I pull up, it's just swish. Backboard wet, only thing I know is swish. Pull it back, Kobe. Pull it back, Kobe. Hold up!
What's going on, Lakers fans? This is all about the Lakers and the news around the league. As you know, the free agency started last week, and there's been a lot of the move around the league, especially the Lakers. They acquired a lot of players. Compared to last season, they got better on their bench production. They got first in bench points in Dennis Schroeder. They got second in Montreal's O'Harrell. So it's a huge pickup for the Lakers. And they also got a couple pieces that required Davis is the biggest news off season. Everyone's just waiting to see if he's going to get a max extension. Of course, it's a matter of when. And he's waiting to see how Lakers will fit the rosters together, and then maybe he will take a pay cut, and then maybe bring in a DeMarcus Cousins, play as a backup center, because right now it's still low on backup. The front court. Our backwards fine, because we're looking bright, and of course our depths compared to last season. In terms of defense, we lost Avery Bradley, Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, Jabal McGee. The guys who are very competitive and fierce on defense. Especially Howard was a great rim protector against the Denver series. He contained Jokic very well. And I don't know if Gasol could do the same thing. Gasol is more known for being, an on-ball defender, but he's not a blocker. And he definitely has a better playmaking ability. Who could stretch floor, space the floor better than Dwight ever did. But Dwight more like a rim protector, so he stays in the lane, will let the point guard or the big man to get into the lane easily. We might have that a little bit of trouble this season, but I like the addition so far what Rob Pelinka did. And let's take a look at how the roster looks right now for the Lakers. First, Kostas Antetokounmpo, Devontae Cacok, KCP signed extension with the Lakers for 4 years, and Alex Caruso. And we don't have Quinn Cook anymore. He was waived. And Anthony Davis, Jared Dudley. We don't know about how Jared Dudley, whether coming back or will be get traded to the other team. Harrell, Taron Horton Tucker, a promising young man who can play. It's a very long wingspan and can play both ends. He showed a little bit of flash during the playoffs, so I'm really thinking that he's going to get better LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma. I think the key man for the Lakers this season is definitely Kyle Kuzma because he's got a free agency coming up, and you want to get a big money. If you want to get big money, of course you gotta put up some numbers and production. Of course, last season his points, everything mostly dropped. Compared to 2008 and 19 season, didn't play very well because he was coming off the bench, of course, and he wasn't getting. He was injured uh, before the season. During that USA World Championship, and then he wasn't the same guy. After he came back, he was reluctant. If you look at him in the playoff, he wasn't very sure what his role was. Sometimes he's just very indecisive, don't know what to do with the ball. And if you give him a purpose, playing well, I mean, I'm sure this season he's going to be more motivated and will play better. Well, he has to. If you want to get a big money, you want to cash in, you got to show some production. Of course, a lot of scouts around the leagues are putting Kyle Kuzma in a great spot. They're complimenting about his scoring ability, his feistiness. He's shown some clutchness, yeah, during his NBA career. He's fearless, I could say. Is that some guy who is reluctant to take a shot? Whenever he has the opportunity rise, he will take it, and that is what we like to see as a fan because we don't like a player that's indecisive and not, um, you know, not knowing the role that he's playing. We'll talk about the Wesley Matthews. He's came with the biannual exception, staying for 1 year. I'm not sure if he will stay another year, but definitely a good addition for less money. Danny Green was paying 50 million. This guy only gets paid 3 million. And he's putting up the same number as Danny Green and shooting better on the three. Right? He shot like 38% last season from the three. And mostly, he's like a corner three guy, like a PJ Tucker. Very consistent with he's got the hot spot where he can knock down shots. His percentage really goes up. JaVale McGee, sorry to see him go. I wanted the Lakers keep him just for energy purpose because he was such a great cheerleader on the bench. He's a very positive guy, bring a lot of energy to the team. We sort of need a guy like that who plays a cheerleading role for when sometimes when teams are down, motivate other players and keep them going. Right? He did that role during the playoff because he didn't get much of playing time. Dwight Howard and him, they were all smiling and they were like cheering from the bench. It's not easy to do if you're like a professional player, right? You want to play, you want to be on the court, but sometimes you have to grasp that. But it's not easy, being in that situation. He took it well, he played a great role in that sense. Markieff Morris, of course, we're bringing him back for MLE. I think he tweeted earlier about, coming back to the Lakers and wants to repeat, get another ring. See, his brother tweeted saying like, why don't we cash in money together? Because his brother got paid 64 million earlier, and they were very close together, and they want to play together, of course. As a brother, they click each other well. But Markieff, instead of going to Clippers and joining his brother, he's decided to stay with the Lakers and going for the two-peat. That's a very smart move for him. At the end of the day, his career is over. All that's left is pretty much how you accomplish as a player, your accolades, you know, how much you have achieved. Individual accolades are very important, but also getting a title. That's what it's about. Money always comes next. I think some players they prefer to get paid instead of their legacy. But like AD said, AD chose legacy over money because he could turn down more payment from the Pelicans. Uh, and then Schroeder, of course. What can I say? This guy, just one of the best trade of this off season. The upgrade of Rajon Rondo. In terms of competitiveness, in scoring ability, playmaking, his feistiness. He's younger. He's got more mileage to go. Rondo is 35. Of course, that makes a big difference. And he was the sixth man of the year. I mean, the candidate. He came as a second behind the Harrell. But as a bench player, he put up 19 points and shooting over 35% from three. That's really great. And that's something the Lakers were missing last season. We didn't have a good bench production. We were 13th in the league, and that's one of the reasons why everyone picked Clippers to win 20 champion before season started, because Clippers has Rule Williams and Harrell, and they're the most strongest the bench players in the league. But now we got the best bench players in Schroeder and Harrell, so that's gonna make a huge difference. When you think about it, we didn't really lose that much of player compared to last season. We brought in Wesley Matthews for Danny Green, pretty much the same type of player. But Wesley Matthews is a little more better defender, in my opinion. Like he's more physical. He defended with his body. Danny Green more of a smart player. He sees the floor well. Rondo, of course, better playmaker than Schroeder. I'll say because he's like a floor general, right? He's almost like a coach. He sees the floor. He's like has one of the best BQ in the league with the LeBron James, and that's not something that's granted. They're sure there's not like that, but better scorer, better three-pointer, better slasher, and it's younger. And then we lost to Howard. It brought in Marcus Gasol. Well, he's not updated in the roster because it's not official. But a couple of days he will be added to the Lakers roster, official roster. We lost the block. Some guy inside presence like Howard, but we got Gasol, who's better offensive player, better playmaker, better all around. He's more smarter with the ball. So it's not a minus for this team. All right. enough with the Laker talk. As we covered, stick around the league. How the free agency continues. So, mentioned earlier about the Markieff Morris going to stay with the Lakers for a mid-level exception. Well, Lakers right now are over the cap, but hopefully, uh, they could pay a little bit of luxury tax. It's not a huge problem. The Genie Bus is willing to do that. Just try to, if we win another championship, it's worth of every penny we spent. And she knows the situation. All right, Damian Dawson agreed 2 years, $4 million deal with the Cavs. His agent Chris Gaston told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski Dawson played 3 seasons with the Knicks. That's a great addition for the Knicks. And then their current situation right now, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's too bright. Well, they drafted a promising rookie in Obi Toppin from Dayton. He's a New Yorker, and of course the fans are excited to have someone that grew up in the Big Apple. I played for that city, coming back play for the professional career, the city that he desired. Yeah. But remember last year they drafted the RJ Barrett, for a third pick. Everyone was very hopeful that RJ is going to be rookie of the year. Of course he played well. I'll say he provided some promising number, 13 and a half. Didn't shoot very well. I mean, his shot selection sometimes is very questionable. It's unorthodox. So one of a guy who can, use the left hand. Yeah, I don't know the Knicks. What they're gonna do with their current roster? They say they're gonna bring him back to Carmelo Anthony, but Carmelo instead of just staying with the Blazers for another year. Say he appreciate the Blazers bringing him back, giving him that chance, and he appreciate it. So Knicks just not looking bright right now. What are they gonna do with It's not like they have a lot of picks like OKC did this offseason. Sam Presti did an excellent job. It's trading where their asset bringing that, rebuilding the whole roster. Only guy who's left from last season is just a Shea Alexander. He's the only guy left there. Steven Adams is even gone. He's gone to Pelicans. So I don't know. The New York the situation is not looking bright. Is James Dolan still in charge? I think they just gotta change the owner. This is something. 'Cause the only thing they did well is bringing the Tom Thibodeau. It's the only good addition for this team. The bright future. I don't know about promising bringing Giannis possibly next season. They're saving that cap space and bringing the Giannis, giving him the massive contract. We'll see about that, but I'm pretty sure Giannis is thinking that playing in New York wouldn't be a too bad choice because it's a big market. It can bring a lot of fans. If they happen to win the championship, of course, that's going to be a legacy for him. All right, let's talk about Atlanta Hawks. Solomon Hill agree 1 year deal with the Hawks. The forward played for the other teams over 7 seasons, most recently with the Miami. Yeah, I remember Solomon Hill from Indiana Pacers State. He was solid. Could knock down three. Could defend a little bit. A 3 and D guy. But had a lot of limited playing time. Didn't really put up good numbers throughout his career. But so obviously, Atlanta Hawks are looking to fill up their roster. So they brought in Rondo. They brought in Garlandale. Now they're talking about bringing in the Bogdanovic, offered the 4 years of $72 million. Of course, Atlanta is going to make a playoff. I can tell that because they have superstar, almost the superstar in Trae Young. John Collins, you know, not a bad player, right? John Collins could be an all-star one day. A promising season for Atlanta fans as well. Darius Arch agrees 3 years, 27 million deals. Stay with the Phoenix Suns. Agent Jeff Schwartz and Mike Linderman tells ESPN's Wojnarowski. And Sarge spent last season in Phoenix being required in trade with Minnesota, starting 51 of 66 games, averaging 10.7 and 6.2 rebound per game. Yeah, that's a really good sign that Phoenix. I don't know about you guys, but I think Phoenix is definitely a contender for the playoff. I mean, some people don't really give much credit of bringing Chris Paul, but I think it's a really good pickup. It's really because Chris Paul, every team that he's been to, he made them a contender. He's the guy who makes everyone around him better. We know that he's old and he's not as he used to be, but his playmaking, like you see in the OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder last season, yeah, he could still put up mid-range. He's just very consistent guy. Some guy that never loses rhythm, always stay poised. It's very professional. So I think Phoenix Suns' future is bright. And I don't know if this will make Devin Booker want to stay Phoenix for a long time, but it's actually giving him that idea, you know. So giving him the idea that Suns are willing to do something to make Booker stay by bringing in a star player like Chris Paul and making DeAndre Ayton. What else do you had? Um, Mikal Bridges, um, Cam Johnson. Those guys better because they're young. They have a lot of improvements, especially DeAndre Ayton. He's gonna be like DeAndre Jordan, part two, right? The Rob City. We might witness that. That's about it for today's update. I don't think there's a lot bit of a. There's been a lot of move in couple days, and most of players have already signed it with the team. There's not much players remaining in free agency for right now. The Lakers have picked up most of the players they need. They probably can bring another mid-level type of player. I'm hoping giving one more chance to DeMarcus Cousins. Well, at least give him a chance because he never played the Lakers in the regular season. He got injured before the season, last season, during the practice. It's At least give the man a chance, and then if he plays well, he might get revamped and get paid. There should always be a second chance for players. As much as I cheer for DeMarcus Cousins, of course. It was a tragedy that he got injured. Any player get injured and get a second chance, I give a lot of credit. So my prediction for Lakers this season, let's talk about how this current roster play against other teams around the league. With the Clippers, with other elite teams in the East, like Brooklyn Nets or the Milwaukee Bucks, Miami. But if I have to pick 8 playoff teams, East and West, yeah, it'll look a little bit different than last season. See, Atlanta is definitely coming in as a dark horse. Of course, I'll pick number 1 for Boston Celtics. Because they have experience going into the Eastern Final. The roster is almost the same. Except losing Gordon Hayward to Charlotte Hornets. They look the same. They signed a max extension with Jason Tatum, keeping him for another 5 years. Jaylen Brown is gonna get better. Kemba Walker, of course, that was his first playoff experience. It's gonna get better. I don't know in terms of his number, it's probably still gonna be the same, but he'll be more consistent. Because in the playoff, he was terrible. His shot was off. Sometimes it's indecisive. Maybe that playoff nerve got to him. But I think Boston's gonna be number 1, and I'm picking New Jersey for number 2 since they have second strongest 1-2 punch in the NBA with KD and Kyrie. And they played well without Kyrie in the starting lineup during the bubble. They show some promise. Of course, LeVert's going to be all-star this season, and I can book you on that. I think Miami's going to be in the 3rd. They're keeping the same roster as last season. Butler, Dragic staying, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. They lost Derek Jones. It's not going to be a huge loss. We still have the same coach and the same GM, Pat Riley. So they're definitely going to be in top 5 team in the East. I'll pick Atlanta or Indiana Pacers for 4 and 5 spot. Yeah, it could be either team, but Indiana is definitely it's gonna be in that spot. They haven't lost much player. Oladipo's still with the team. Brogdon, they got Miles Turner still there. They didn't really add a additional player, but it's still they're gonna be consistent with their right lineup. So for the remaining 6, 7, and 8. But you'll be surprised I didn't pick the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Yeah, I'll put Milwaukee second, and then third is New Jersey. It's either Milwaukee or New Jersey is going to be the second or third. The last two spot, Washington could sneak in, and possibly Charlotte. I mean, that's for the last spot. So they get Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball. They got Devontae Graham, Monk, Cody Zeller. Yeah, some promising players. PJ Washington shows some flashness. Yeah, so that's my 8th pick with going from Boston, Bucks, Nets, Hawks, Pacers, the Wizards, and Hornets. My 8th pick for the West is going to be Lakers, the number 1. I'll put Denver number 2 since Denver showed that consistency in the playoff, and they are keeping on the same roster. Losing Jeremy Grant really hurts, but they still got Jokic, Murray, Gary Harris, and they lost Mason Plumlee, of course, too. They might have to find a way to fill out a little more roster to see the complete, roster before the season starts. But I'm getting edge Nuggets over Clippers since the Nuggets are a more resilient team, and they got one of the great one-two punch in Murray and Jokic. And Mike Malone is a coach, and I'll give it Clippers the 3rd place in the West. Still got Kawhi, Paul George added. They lost a couple players. Harrell, the guard, Shamet. Yeah, of course, they lost him. Ruel's still with the team. Babley's still there. Patrick Patterson and staying with the team. And they lost DeMarco Green. I mean, something that was shocking because I thought Green is gonna stay. There's just been a lot of rumors around there, locker room chemistry and the gel issue within the team. And they hire a new coach, so everything's gonna be looking different. Of course, Ty Lue was assistant coach last season under Doc Rivers, so they're gonna keep some of the formation the same way, but Ty Lue's definitely a guy who prefers, running a main rotation, so not giving much a chance to the young guys or the bench players. And obviously, what he did to LeBron, he was playing LeBron like over 40 minutes. Lucky that LeBron's still young and then he didn't get injured. But you can't do that to Kawhi. I think Kawhi needs a little management. He can't play back to back. You're probably going to see the same thing this season. So that's what. And I will put the Phoenix in the 4th place. And Portland's in the 5th. It's either Sacramento or the Minnesota, 6 and 7. And the last spot, I think at the last spot, the Dallas is definitely gonna sneak into the fifth or sixth, or even 4, 5, 6. And Houston might be in the seventh. And the last one might be Sacramento Kings. So there we go. There's 8 teams that I would pick for the Western Conference. That's my prediction. We're not sure if that's going to be the same thing that's going to happen, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how the league turns out, how things really happen. The trades are still going on. There are a couple remaining players. Those focal players are all gone, but there's still a couple of teams that needs to fill out their roster. Of course, the Lakers do. We can still bring in a couple more players, signed MLEs, all we could give. But it'll be interesting to see that. And the season's starting less than 1 month, so everything's gotta go quick. And training camp starting in 2 weeks. I mean, then there's preseason, and there goes regular season before the Christmas. So it's a great gift for fans. I'm excited, and I will keep updates as the free agency goes. See you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to Purple and Gold Stream. Peace, guys.